The Get On Living Safely campaign is sponsoring this podcast to remind you to keep your spending in the community. Supporting local businesses keeps food on the table for our friends and neighbors. Follow them on social media and learn more at getonlivingsafely.com. We talked with the band This Could Be the Day. Formed in 2007, this lacrosse band has influences that range from straight-up alternative to soaring guitar jams and more. The band shares its approach to music, its experience with COVID and creativity, and what's next for them. You can find more conversations on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brett.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
I'm Matt Stryker. I was born in La Crosse, and I took piano lessons from my mom for a little bit when I was 6. That didn't work out very well for some reason, but about 10 years later, I kind of got interested in playing guitar and got a guitar for Christmas and sort of ran with it from there.
Matt Gaworski, family's originally from Illinois, which is where I was born. Moved here when I was 2 years old to Hoka, Minnesota. Went to La Crescent High School, stayed in town here, went to Viterbo. Graduated from there. I've always really enjoyed music. I guess my older sisters growing up in the 80s, really eclectic taste. I had one sister who was really into, Prince, and another sister that was into, Guns N' Roses and Scorpions and, music like that. So I've always had music around me, but also where I met Matt, played trumpet in high school. And I didn't start playing drums until this band, actually. Always wanted to play drums in high school and sometimes would sneak back there and play drums anyway, but never really learned until This Could Be the Day.
You done?
Did I miss anything?
Only most of your life story, that's fine. My name is Dave Bashaw. I was born at Gunderson in La Crosse. That's right, straight up La Crosse. Got into music. As a kid, we had a baby grand piano in the living room, and I used to just sit and plunk away at it all the time, driving my folks nuts, so they wanted to have good sounds come out of it, so they got me into lessons. And then I just sort of fell in love with music from there, became a band nerd throughout middle and high school, and then went on to college to keep being a band nerd professionally. Have a music liberal arts degree, and if I'm not making music, I'm just not happy.
So how did this band come together? I mean, you guys have been around since, I believe, 2007. I've seen you a handful of times, like we were talking earlier, in the traditional haunts of Popcorn and the North Side. How did you guys all get in the room together?
Matt and I, like he said, we played trumpet together in high school, and we kind of became friends throughout. Even though we went to college in different cities, we stuck around, and in the summers we'd get together and started a band, and we practiced, played at his parents' out in Hoka in a barn. And so Matt and I had been through probably 3 different iterations of bands, and started another one when he started drumming, and we had a bass player for a while who kind of went his own way, and we were lucky enough we'd sort of crossed paths with Dave and got him to join about a year into our existence, or a couple years into our existence. We've been working with that lineup ever since.
Well, no, I just realized that so we all had moms that played piano. Your mom played piano, Dave?
Not professionally by any stretch.
Yeah. Well, I guess, we had a piano in the house too. I guess I didn't realize that all of us had somebody in the family that was actually interested in music. But yeah, me and Stryker have been friends for, I don't know, as long as I can remember. And a few different bands, and This Could Be the Day has been the one that lasted the longest, or people were interested in listening to the longest.
Well, let's not stretch the truth. The one that's lasted the longest.
Yeah. And like Stryker said, we're very lucky to have Dave hop on board with us and bring his talents to our band.
Yeah, I felt honored to be asked to join. Ran into Gorski one night just randomly at the library where we were studying, versus at the recovery room where we were actually drinking. And they were in need of a bass player, and I had been listening to these guys for at least a year at that point. Listened to them for years before that when they were in Wake Young together, and I held them in super high esteem. So when they asked if I wanted to come try out, I was nervous as hell. And luckily, they let me stick around. I like you guys.
Oh,
So, filling my head full of your music the last couple of days, I could probably guess on some musical influences, at least that I hear. What are some of your musical influences, related terms, maybe individually, before you talk about the band?
Yeah, I had older siblings in the 80s too, so I got a healthy dose of Z93 and Hit 105 in the 80s. And then it was K-Rock, classic rock in the 90s. And I heard Neil Young a lot through that venue and thought, this guy's got kind of a whiny voice and sings weird things and doesn't play guitar all that well, and I can do that.
Yeah, again, I mean, music's always been part of my family. And my parents took me to see Willie Nelson when I was pretty young. And my sister actually worked at, what was it? Hit 105, Hit 105, Hit 104, whatever it was. Yeah, and yeah, she got to play softball with Willie and, his band and crew. And so we got to like meet him and get autographs. And that was just like a huge moment. And then I was always kind of looking up to my sister for music, and came back from a high school dance once and asked if she had heard of this new band, Led Zeppelin, when she got done laughing at me hysterically. Kind of turned me on to, 70s, 80s rock, and all the way through the 90s.
So was Willie good at softball?
They were all really good. Yeah, like it was actually competitive. It was, it was amusing.
Yeah, for me, I grew up, parents listened to the Eagle, the oldies, 102.7 or whatever it was. And I had two older brothers. One was into Van Halen. The other was into Aerosmith. I was a band nerd, so I was into jazz and sax players like Paul Desmond and crap like that. So, coalesce all that in adolescence into high school when I was listening to The Buzz a lot. The late 90s, early 2000s alt rock station lacrosse. Yeah. Kind of just sort of all over the place musically. I mean, there's most definitely things I hate. But no, I like most things.
All right. Well, I mean, maybe I can name some of the things that I kind of heard when I've been listening to that last album the last couple of days, and maybe I can actually pick out some of the ones you hate. Hopefully not. But like, just listening to some of your music over the last couple of days, I hear some of, more of the relevant sort of like Hold Steady, even in like Explosions in the Sky with the Circumstantial Evidence song. I hear a lot of like early Smashing Pumpkins guitars, and that's referencing like Dim. Built to Spill, when you said kind of the whiny voice, I could see how the connections like words. And also even some kind of like pop sensibilities of on the 90 Days, like The Refreshments. How would you describe your music to people that have never heard it before? And you can also say that I was completely wrong in any of that, but that's just what I kind of heard.
You name two songs that I sing on, and then you name bands that I listen to a lot. So yeah, you kind of nailed it in my corner there.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like when I play guitar. I like droney guitar, so like Dim and things like that. And that was a lot of like listening to the Pumpkins and Hum and stuff like that. But yeah, like musical form sense wise, like more Refreshments or even Weezery, sort of more pop rocky to an extent. Not saying Refreshments are pop rock by any stretch. So.
Yeah, you nailed a couple of them there for sure. Definitely. I mean, we covered a Refreshment song or two, didn't we, at one point in time? Or was that another band?
Sometimes when I say the Refreshment, they always think the Replacements as well. So
yeah,
different band.
Yeah, the Pumpkins. I mean, definitely. I just saw Pumpkins not too long ago, and then when you could still go and see music. Yeah, it was kind of a high school dream come true because I missed the whole, Lollapalooza. I wasn't allowed to go to things like that. So some of my friends did and came back, and I was in love with the Pumpkins. Still am. I mean, not super impressed with what Billy's currently doing, but yeah, big Pumpkins fan. Yeah, they got some new stuff out.
Just as far as describing our music, I'd say most people will tell me that it sounds pretty 90s, which I guess is hard to dispute when you hear it enough. But I like to think that's pretty accessible melodically and try to write kind of sardonic lyrics. There's usually more than meets the eye to a lot of the lyrics, and at least that's what I shoot for when I write them. But yeah.
It always takes me a listen or two after we play a song the first time because the first time we play a song, we, write it while we're playing it sort of deal. So you don't always hear all the lyrics, so you make some up in your head that you think are right. And then you finally figure out what they are. And then that's when I have to listen to them a couple more times and be like, what the hell is he talking about? So they are sardonic and fantastic.
No, it's been a real pleasure listening to them. So what's the process been like for this last 6 months related to COVID? Are you guys in your own little bubble? Do you still practice? Do you have plans for any new music? Or is it just overall just horrible?
Over the last 6 months, all of the above.
Yeah. We were well on our way to our next album when, this all hit. I mean, we have a handful of songs for the next album. We had kind of a, concept lined up, and we're going to go out and play some shows and, in promotion of things to come, but that didn't happen. So we have attempted to do the virtual practice, which as a drummer, I did not care for. Bought an electronic kit, didn't enjoy playing it. So now that we're kind of getting to the point where we know more, slowly getting back together again, safely, socially distancing at practice, and still writing.
That virtual practice, we made it through almost half a song. So
it wasn't happening.
I think we were online for 3 hours.
Yeah.
The thing we did as well was that practice space performance series, which was pretty fun. We just all, recorded our parts individually, and then Stryker put them together and did all the tech wizardry that is involved with that.
Nothing like getting together, though, in the basement and just making a hell of a lot of noise,
Absolutely. What do you hope to get done, though, in the next couple of months? I know talking to a lot of artists, they've actually used this time to write quite a bit. They couldn't work directly with their bands, but they've been prolific in kind of creating new songs or the structures for it. Do you hope to have that mapped out, or do you hope to have a project or an album complete coming up? Or
we've probably had about certainly an album's worth of songs that we hadn't recorded yet before all this went down. In the past 3-4 weeks, when we started kind of getting back together a little bit, kind of tried to pick up some of the half-written songs that we had before we left, just remembering how that went. And I think the fact that we have, with some effort, but eventually remembered them, I think is a good sign for their future.
I would say we even made them better to an extent. Yeah, right. We forgot the crap that sucked. And
if it continues to be sort of maybe not the most prudent thing to get together inside in large or even medium or small crowds for the future, I think we have enough to keep us busy with our own projects as far as maybe trying to get something recorded for the, we've got the material to do it with.
Yeah, we've been talking about putting out an album since we got the last one.
I think we're all three of us, and I think that's why we all click well together, are always kind of writing something in our heads, or have something like, oh hey, what do you think about this? Can you give me something to kind of go off with this? I got this idea. And I think that's why three of us work well together, because we can go to any of the others and if one's not available, and be like, all right, well, hey, can you come over and play bass for a little bit? Or, hey, you want to hop over and just play guitar for a while and, let me drum along. And that, I think a lot of stuff comes out of those sessions.
Yeah, we definitely write well together. Any one of us can sit down alone and bring an idea in, and the other two will figure it out. Any two of us can get together and present something to the third one. Or we can all three just sit down and figure something out together. There's no correct formula for the way we write. It just sort of works.
So probably a fun one to see if you guys say the same song, but can you tell me, each one of you, which song, maybe off one of the albums you have out that's available that people could check out, that you really enjoy playing together?
I celebrate our entire catalog.
I was going to say, I don't like a single thing we do.
Everything's brilliant.
Stryker, you start.
I still like playing Worlds Within Worlds. Slower song that gets a little more intense as it goes. I always enjoy playing that live. We don't play it at every show because it's not meant for every show, but I always enjoy playing it.
I'm not falling down into your mud pit. You might defeat me, but not my forfeit.
I've never not enjoyed playing that song, almost ever, in practice included.
It's one of the few ones I've yet to get tired of. I love when we hit that breakdown. It's the most fun thing that we do.
Yeah, I really enjoy playing that song as well. I think it has a lot of emotion for all of us, and I like all the harder, faster songs as well. I mean, as being a drummer, so I mean, songs like Dinosaur and Counterfeit or Box Elder are never going to be boring for me to play because I can beat the hell out of my drums.
Mm-hmm.
I joke, but honestly, I'd say the best song we play is the theme from Ghostbusters.
So if people want to follow along, where would be the best spot for them to go to find out more? Maybe something that's upcoming or check out the back catalog. Where would you send them?
Bandcamp.
Facebook.
Yeah, for sure. Facebook, yep.
tcbtd.bandcamp. You can listen to pretty much anything we've ever recorded. The sound quality gets better as the albums get more recent. Facebook.com/TCBTD, right? That's
YouTube/TCBTD as well. We have most of our stuff on YouTube as well.
Are we still on farmersonly.com?
Just you, bud.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you would like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Locals. Subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We thank you for it.